So
You're a dude.
if I have this wallet in my hand and I just drop it, why does it fall to the ground? Gravity? Attaboy. Alright, so do you know the man who invented gravity? Not invented, but came up with the idea that gravity is universal?
Isaac Newton.
There you go. Alright. So Sir Isaac Newton. Alright. This guy is probably the most influential man in science ever. And I love this guy just because he was so much smarter than people think. People think of him, they think gravity. But you know, he invented the telescope. He found light, that white light is actually made of colors. He invented calculus, which a lot of you guys don't like calculus, but he did invent calculus. I love science because science is the only thing in this world that you can always learn more, you can always find more, and knowledge is infinite, and science is basically, it just intrigues me because I can always find out more stuff. So what I want to tell you guys today about Isaac Newton is his troubled personal life, which he was kind of a crazy guy, but also his discoveries, obviously, and his education, which is surprisingly not very much education. So his personal life, he was born on January 4th of 1643. At this time, there's actually 2 calendars in use. So some people claim he was born on Christmas Day. I went with January 4th because I saw that a lot more often. I couldn't figure out which calendar was actually the one that we're using right now, so I just went with January 4th. So part of the reason he was crazy, I believe, is because his mother left him at age 3, because when Newton was born, his dad was already dead. So at age 3, his mother left the family to join a new family and raise new kids with a new husband, and left him with his grandma. He didn't come back until he was 11 years old. So when he did come back, he was all like pissed off at his mom because you left me and I hate this new stepdad guy. And so throughout his life, he had all these psychological problems. Like I personally, they didn't really say like they didn't diagnose him with anything, but I think he was like just suffered from paranoia, a little bipolar. Like I think it was like 1670s, 1680s, he had like a nervous breakdown thinking that his friends were like conspiring against him to like kill him for no apparent reason. So he was a pretty crazy dude. He was very, very, very smart, obviously. And also I have this picture here because, like I said, he was crazy. And one time he was trying to figure out why the eyeball was so complex. So he decided to stick a stick into his eye socket, and that's just stupid. So that didn't really work. He just bled. That didn't work. All right. So his education. At age 12, he went to King's School, which is right here. I believe this is like awesome that King's School is still standing today. That's the one that he went to. And when he was at King's School, he first fell in love with science. He actually really loved chemistry, which is odd because he really made influences in physics and math, not chemistry. But once he turned 18, he went to Cambridge University, which also is still standing today, which is pretty cool. Very prestigious school. But when he was about to graduate, his 3rd year there, I believe, or maybe it was his 4th year, but he was about to graduate, and the Black Plague started sweeping through Europe, so he had to leave. And he went home, and during his time at home was when he just sat in his room and was like a mad scientist guy and figured out all these crazy laws that we know today, or Newton's 3 laws, which I'll tell you about in a little bit. But he did return after the Black Plague was over in 1667, kind of chilled there, and then became a professor in 1669 of math, and taught there until 96. So he didn't actually have much education, but most of the time he was there, he was actually studying like stuff on the side, not like curriculum. He was just studying. Like he had a book that what was it called? He had a book that he just made himself, a journal, called Certain Philosophical Questions that he was curious about, so he tried to figure those out. He wasn't even a very good student too. He was like a C student by our standards, and didn't really excel in school because he was too smart for school, I guess. But all right, Newton's 3 laws. These are his discoveries. So I'll get to those now. Newton's 3 laws of motion. When you guys think of Newton and gravity, you guys probably think of like the apple falling on his head, right? And he discovered gravity. Well, it's partly true, partly not. Mostly not, actually. One day after dinner, he decided to walk through a garden, walked by an apple tree, and an apple fell down on the ground. And it didn't hit him in the head; it fell to the ground. He was thinking, okay, why does this apple fall straight down linearly? Why doesn't it fall down like this and wave around? And he was like, that's weird. So that's when that actually ties into his first law, which his first law is an object in motion stays in motion. You guys probably heard these laws. Object motion stays in motion unless acted on by unbalanced force. So, and this is, I think it's crazy that you can think about these laws that are universal throughout the entire universe. Like, this law never changes anywhere. You can go 14 billion light years away, and this law is in action. Yeah, so that's his first law. Second law, you guys that took physics last year or this year or in the future, know there is a law of force called F equals ma. You guys, anyone heard of that? Anyone know? Remember? F equals ma? Yeah. So that means that force, the force that an object experiences is due to its mass multiplied by the acceleration that's experiencing. So, again, obviously, I don't mean to insult anybody here, but I don't think anyone could just sit at home during one time with no teacher, no textbooks. Well, maybe some textbooks, but textbooks at that time didn't have these things in them, so he had to figure out by himself that if I multiply the mass times the acceleration, I'll have this force, and it's constant, like this, these two variables, mass and acceleration, always equal force. And it's just, to me, it's why I'm sharing with you guys, because it's crazy how someone can think of all these things, and just, he's an extremely smart guy. And this third law, which is reaction pairs, which is with every action there's an equal and opposite reaction. You guys have heard of those, right? You guys know those? So, sorry this is like a physics lecture for you guys, but I think it's awesome. But so he discovered that every action there's an equal opposite reaction. So if I push against this wall right here, the wall pushes back against me. You don't see it push back, but naturally it's going to push you back. And that's because of Newton's third law. So that was just his first branch of discoveries, which is his laws of motion. All right. This is the one that really, I think, is the craziest of his crazy discoveries, is calculus. So one time, it goes between 1665 and 1667, when one of Newton's friends and one of Newton's friends' friends were in a coffee house, and they were talking about why are like the planets, you know, in this ellipse, not like a perfect circle, they're in an ellipse. And they're like, I have no idea. So he went and found Isaac Newton, which he knew was a genius. He's like, yo, dude, why is it not circular? And Newton's like, I don't know, man. So I'll figure it out. So he goes home and spent a few minutes on it. Not a few minutes, that's obviously an exaggeration, but probably some months. They didn't really say how long he spent studying it. And he came back and he's like, well, I know why it's in an ellipse. And he's like, well, how'd you figure out why? And he's like, well, I had to go there and I had to invent integral and differential calculus. And to me, it's like, you just go home and you invent calculus. Like, there's kids that were, and keep in mind though, this is when he was like 24, 25, 26. Like, there's kids his age that can't grasp what calculus is, they have no idea what they're doing, and he invented it at that age. Like, that's crazy. It's calculus, it's not like algebra 1, it's calculus. So like, I don't know, that's just ridiculous, in my opinion. If you guys want to try and go out and invent your own topic of math, do it, and then come back to me, and I will.
You will teach it.
I will worship you.
You'll teach it.
All right, optics. This is awesome. Okay, so Newton. This is more like 1670s, back when he was more like his 30s. He put a glass prism and on the table, and then she shined a beam of light, of white light, into the prism. All right, and he was trying to figure out what white light consists of. And when this happened, if you guys are in physics, you know that like, well, you won't know yet because you haven't got to that part yet, but different like air to water bends light. You guys probably kind of know that now that I told you, because you're like, oh yeah, that doesn't make sense. But this prism bent the light and separated it into its component colors, which are orange, yellow, green, and purple, blue, that kind of stuff. And it's just, to me, again, it's insane that white light is actually colors all put into one. And people at that time all thought that white light was no light and that all the colors were black. Well, no, actually all the colors make white. So, yeah, that's optics for you right there. That's what he figured out in optics. And before I conclude, I want to put this up right here. So, you guys, what was his third law? Do you remember his third law?
Equal reaction.
With every reaction, there's equal and opposite reaction, right? So what is wrong with this statement here? Anyone know?
He's not naked.
Okay, so he says, according to my third law, I'm naked, you should be too. No. Okay? Equal and opposite. So he should be, if she's butt naked, he should be fully clothed, completely opposite and equal. So equal in terms of how naked she is, that would be how clothed he is. So this is completely stupid. I saw it online, I got pissed off. I wanted to show you guys. So there you go. That's that. So basically, you guys probably were like, okay, I care less about these discoveries, but I just want you guys to walk away with like better appreciation for who Isaac Newton was. And I don't care if you forget what he discovered. I could care less about that. But I just want you, when you hear his name, to like think, oh my gosh, this guy was crazy smart. That guy was really influential. And that's basically all I want you guys to walk away with. I don't really care if you forget all that stuff because it's science. A lot of you guys don't care about it, but I do. So there you go. Everybody's gonna use it.